I've worked with people that have sold businesses in less than a year, and sold them for lots of money. But maybe it's an unfair comparison or unfair test to say it took them, 10 years to know how to do it in 1 year.
Hey folks, this week on The Wealth Faculty, we get a chance to sit down with David Kenney, partner, Hall Chadwick Accounting Company. David has been in the accounting business for over 20 years and he sits on my personal faculty as my accountant, helping me manage my wealth as well as many, many very successful Australian businesses and individuals across the country. And we get a chance to pick his brains from an accounting point of view, from a person who's got 20 years experience in the accounting world about creating, keeping, managing wealth and what it means to them. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with David Kenney on The Wealth Faculty. Happy New Year, David Kenney. Welcome to the podcast, The Wealth Faculty. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jace. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Hey, listen, we're going to have a bit of a chat today about the world that you live in, advising businesses, individuals in the world of, tax law, accounting. You've been doing this for decades. You don't look that old, but you're very experienced in this. And I'm very happy to say that for those listening in, this podcast is called The Wealth Faculty. And I'm very grateful to have you as one of my faculty members on my board, advising me as my group accountant and personal accountant for many, many years. So thanks for joining us. Today we're going to have a bit of a yarn about all things in your world. But before we kick off, 2020, a crazy year. Reflecting from your point of view, how did the world roll from the world of accounting? Maybe give us a little bit of a snapshot of, shaking your head there. Crazy 2020. Times. Yeah, 2020. Wow. How do you reflect on that?
I prefer not to, but I guess let's paint the picture. There we are, thinking we're pretty busy at the moment. Things are a little bit tough. They've been a little bit tough for people for quite some time, and it just got a whole lot worse. And for us as advisors, we had the privilege and pressure of basically rolling out a brand new system that everyone had days to work it out. Law was changing every minute of the day.
Yeah.
I was running whiteboard sessions for my team. I was running CFO sessions for clients. I was running analysis on should we pivot here? What do we need to cut? How do we keep this going? What are their suppliers doing? What are their customers doing? It was like human Tetris on steroids, trying to work out how do we keep these guys alive, afloat, moving them faster through this pain point, working out what are the things that they really need to nail. Are they in business after this? Can job keeper be enough? And then there's obviously others that were sort of pivoting, working out, okay, well, I actually am in a great position where I can intercept some of the oncoming traffic and get behind and capture a lot of that as well. So there was feast and famine in terms of a lot of the different clients out there. Some were doing great, some were doing it tough, but in general, everyone was affected. I think the thing I'd say the most is everyone was affected by either knowing someone who's been through a lot of pain or themselves, and a lot of bad things happen, not just financially, but it played a real toll on everyone's psychology, their mental health. I mean, we've got a lot of staff in Melbourne. World record. It's not a world record we want to break, being the longest city in the world in lockdown.
Yeah.
I mean, we were really worried about those guys, trying to do what we could to help them through stuff. But it was just tough. It was really tough, and just having to turn up every day. At one stage, I was getting up out of bed about 6, getting to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, just constantly looking at strategy, law changes, making sure the message was consistent, unproving or disproving all of the different noise that was coming at everybody and saying, this is how it's going to work and that's how it's going to work. Then the ATO policy would be slightly different to the legislation, slightly different to the press release. don't worry, version 2 will clear it up, and then we've got to communicate it, make sure no one misunderstood it. It was pretty hard.
All of that information sort of, I'm assuming, would have funneled all the way down to the point of, okay, what does my accountant say? All of these things, all down to you guys, right? The pressure would have been extreme. Yeah.
It was extreme, and I really just want to say that my team did a great job. I mean, they really stood up. It was an avalanche of things coming at us, and then having to immediately basically say, okay, you've got to pick your whole business up and take it to 200 new locations that you're going to be doing business in.
Yeah.
Home.
Like in 48 hours.
Hope the technology works. Hope the people don't break. Hope the system actually syncs up. Worry about our own business and worry about hundreds of other businesses.
Yes.
So it was not easy. And look, in some ways, I'm grateful for some of the other things. It wasn't just all bad, because there were so many things you were able to help people and made lifelong friends, getting people through lots of challenges. But it was no doubt it's certainly in my decades. I'll have you. I might have ticked over the decades, but only just kidding. And it was hard. But look, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
So it definitely built a lot of people's resilience and capacity.
Yes.
And so I think that I'm very hopeful of knowing that the people that that are in my team that have got through this together. We've got a lot of things to go. We've got a lot of new mountains to climb, and helping our clients. I mean, that's a privilege.
Yeah, and a testament, and often those things, David, are a testament to good leadership as well. Good leadership at the top. Take care of the team. So I'm quite sure if we asked your team, they'd be singing your praises, and you and your other partners at the business. So well done to you guys as well, because the pressure is that I believe often, especially certainly for me in business, having people like yourself and other great faculty members on my faculty have kept me safe and secure over the years. In one way, shape or form, entrepreneurs tend to get themselves in more trouble than they should, David, and you know that better than most. Not only is the pressure of the normal entrepreneurial flair of business owners, going out there and causing all sorts of, normal problems, there was these abnormal problems on top of that. And for a year, you guys, I'm sure, did the absolute best you could, and sounds like you came together as a team. So well done. One thing that I did want to ask you in this moment, because both you and I have been through together the GFC and now Corona, and we've been together, as friends and also professionals over that time. And how would you compare the GFC world to now? And is there any comparisons or anything for any of us can draw from, in those times, or was it completely different from your point of view as a professional? As an economic meltdown, the world had never seen GFC, but this moment in time was this pandemic again, one thing that we'd probably only experience once in a lifetime, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I guess the big difference was one was a credit-led crisis, and so confidence was immediately tested on the basis that debt was not secure. Debt, junk bonds, all of those sorts of financial instruments were changing the way we felt about flow of funds and the velocity of cash and the security of what we were doing. So in a way, that was probably the first reaction to say, are we going to be okay if we have to close and all these people are closing and businesses need to be locked down? What does that do? Like, we didn't know what that button meant.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. So the initial shock and awe of the COVID situation was far more real, because we're saying, like, we're actually putting, the plane into turn the engine off mode.
Yeah.
And we're saying, okay, we have a certain amount of altitude, so we can draw on resources, we can draw on, we can work it out, but we're eventually going to hit the ground. Whereas in reality, the GFC was very different because there was a prop up from if QE had come in GFC in the same level, I think that would have been problematic, because most people think that at where we're at the moment, that if our QE policy, which is prevailing still,
that's QE, quantitative easing. Yep. For those, quantitative easing. Yep.
So if we ratchet down our currency, against each other's currency in a orderly fashion, it's probably not a big deal. But then, there are a lot smarter people out there than me, but I'm just drawing the comparison that we didn't have anywhere near the same reaction. And in Australia, it almost flew over us. It wasn't a Y2K situation, because a lot of people did lose their jobs, but usually the unknown is what people, go further and assume more.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing I think happened in GFC.
Yeah.
Which is people lost confidence, and it took a little while to come back. And things usually go in cycles, but I don't think it's a fair comparison that the GFC versus what this is, because I think the truth is that, if you look at how much money is being put into the economy and saying, through QE and really just the issue on inflation, deflation, currency, the world's so complicated.
Yes, a bit tighter.
We really have seen what that button did. So that's my point. I don't know if we really will know what that button did for a while.
Yeah, see it play out. So in your world, like, how are you? What's your sort of short-term view on 2021? What are you sort of helping your clients with right now? Where you're saying, hey, listen, no problems, we made it through 2020. Let's celebrate and it'll be no problems. Are you still sort of urging a bit of caution? I'm probably leading you in this question, but what's your thoughts in 2021 coming up for people in business and stuff? We're still got plenty to see roll out, right? With JobKeeper finishing and so on.
Yeah, look, I think the government stimulus is working its way through in terms of what they're going to settle on, in terms of whether or not they extend it again, finish it, or whatever they're doing, and that there's no point in maybe even announcing it so soon. But we'll wait and see what happens with that. I think what I always think is, look, you've got to have a really solid understanding that this is a new world. You can't just say what I did last year times 5% more. You need to start thinking about how my suppliers affected, how my customers affected, how their suppliers and their customers affected. Yeah. So you've got to start thinking a little bit more about where it's going to try and be ahead of the game, or try and work out how can you be more able to help your customers. How do you be, if things do worsen, how can you add more value to your customers? Perspective that you're doing a great job and you're helping them, or your product is indispensable. So
just basically saying, sort of, up and down the line from where you are, not only your world you got to take notice of, but 1, 2, 3 degrees away from you, where the suppliers get their stuff from, or into the future. And I know one of your passions is in the world of tech. How did you see? I mean, obviously, you said you had to take hundreds of people from an office to digital online this year with your team. How did you see the going digital affect businesses that you were supporting? And do you believe that that's kind of like an opportunity in the tech space, like that's been brought forward as well as part of your passion and some of the things that you help people start up and get going?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something which we're starting to see the tip of. But I mean, we're already, I don't know how many people at one stage said, if I do another Zoom call, I'll die. Like, I mean,
I think there's plenty of those people.
There's plenty of people out there like that. And then there was the real point in time where we actually missed each other. So we wanted that interaction with it. Say, look, at some point, your most inexperienced or junior staff, they need more help, they need more guidance, and it's hard to really get your communication so on point that you can do it remotely, particularly if you've had no time to get it ready. So you've got to change how you do things and systems. So it's definitely accelerated a lot of learning for us and our clients. But I think that no one will ever work at an office again. I don't think that's going to come true. And it's we'll still need to gather, we'll still need to collaborate and meet and have real connections and all that sort of thing. So all the people saying we'll never be another office again and every property fund is dead, I don't subscribe to that. I think it's definitely it's a scaling down thing, and people are working out as they should do. I mean, you're just saying, well, I'm going to do what I did last year. As if it's some sort of nostalgic thing. Like I need to stay true to what my business is and what it does. But every good business looks at where it's going and looks at how can I do that better and how can I add more value to customers? Are my systems good enough? So that's the challenge that you've constantly got to be asking yourself. Are you heading in the right direction? Yeah. Do I know what I need to focus on? I've got limited time, limited resources. I've got to get better people in my business. I've got to get more. I've got to allocate capital more cleverly. I've got to think about attracting the best possible people in my team, because there are no technology companies per se. It's just really clever people who build good technology that's repeatable and has this magical feel to it, and it's self-serve, but you're still going to want the people element. So you can't ever get completely to a technology company, really.
Yep.
Maybe maybe never say never. But I think that the companies that have got the right level of people and that human touch, and even if it's in communities and an ecosystem where that human touch happens, it's just we crave a little bit of that. And I think that's one of the things I've taken away. Is I like working with people I like working with. It's just that's my major lesson, and I'll maybe be more of that.
Well, yeah, and maybe like what are some of those lessons for this year about sort of people and connection, but also maybe chucking it out there from a coaching businesses point of view about money and cash. One of the sort of the experiences that I had this year is, we've been coaching people in property investing for many years about making sure you've always got like a buffer or a backup, so just in case something goes wrong. We don't know what it is, but it could be a corona or a GFC. What are one of those sort of lessons for you and your team that you sort of work with business owners on, about this year? Good people and, a little bit of resources tucked away for a rainy day?
I would say combinations of all of that, like a rainy day planning, like to say being on the red line and going as fast as you possibly can and leaving nothing in the tank is it's certainly not my style. I think people need to have a little bit of plan B, or understanding that cash flow profit is not linear. It's messy. And you need to constantly work on that delivering value to your customers and product that works and all that sort of thing. So if you think of it as 3 or 4 stakeholders, and you say, okay, I've got customers and how much can I give them? I've got shareholders and how much value do they extract out of them? I've got suppliers, and where do I draw the line with how hard I negotiate? And you also got staff who, without staff, you have nothing. So being able to get the mix of that right, I think a lot of people are a little bit afraid, or they think that you outsource finance, or you say, I don't need to know about that. That's something my CFO does, or that's something my accountants do. But I think good CEOs understand how it all comes together, and I spend a lot of time with people trying to educate them rather than saying, I'll do that for you. It's good that they learn, because they can make better decisions and go faster and make less mistakes. So I think those are the things that I sort of drill into people when I say, okay, this is why it's important. This is how to understand. It doesn't need to be scary. if you understand it this way, you're going to own it for life. But if you try and read it and you don't know you don't know the foundations, everything's going to be scary. So it doesn't have to be scary understanding numbers. It's not even about numbers. It's a relationship with how things are built and launching products and hiring team and how all of these things aren't siloed. They're actually integrated. They're interwoven. They need to go together. If you do them in isolation, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I love that. And while you're talking that, whether from starting out buying one investment property or many hundreds of millions of dollars companies, and I'm sure there's even more that you've worked with in bigger than that. What you're saying is, if you're responsible for the money, at least know what's going on, understand and educate yourself at all levels. You might have team doing certain things, but you've got to be educated and understand, why those decisions are important, how to make them, based on the numbers. I love that because, in both of our worlds, that's an important thing. If you don't see the numbers in property, well, you don't know if you're going forward. And the same with business, I
these are your faculties, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I was just having a little bit of a look on one of your website or profiles. You're saying, you estimate you've had over 20,000 conversations with people about these types of things over the years, and that's that's amazing. At the end of the day, what do you say to someone like Gary Vee or some of those people who sort of talk about get out there and hustle and hard work and push it to the red line and put it all on the line and those sorts of things as entrepreneurs? I'm always fascinated by the idea that getting motivated and taking action, and then on the flip side, the reality of action without planning and action without care. I'm sure you get to see that on the negative side often with these 20,000 questions. Could you sort of maybe give us some insight for some of us how to manage ourselves a bit more practically in that space?
Well, I haven't met Gary Vee, but my very good friend Michael Lane did invite me along to listen to him. So I've read his book, and it's a bloody good book, by the way.
Good book.
Keep writing.
Yeah.
Or the one I'm talking about is what's it called again?
Jab, right hook. Is it that one?
No, it's the other one.
Clouds and Dirt or something. Clouds and Dirt.
No, we'll look it up.
Look it up. We'll get Marcus to look it up.
Yeah, Marcus, can you help us out here? Keep writing, Gary. It's a great book. So I think that the message is, the first thing I would say is that there's no one thing you do in business. It's just it's a constant iteration of getting better at product, getting better at your story and your narrative, getting better at managing and putting systems around what you're doing, and getting better at managing your resources. And then it's managing yourself as well. And it's like it's a sequence of things that just need to keep going. So I think a lot of people focus on success and say, I want to be successful. And one of the things Gary says is like, he says, well, I hate it when someone comes up to me and says, Gary, I've been working at it, I've been hustling, I've been doing this, and I still haven't had success. He goes, how long have you been doing it? He goes, 6 months. He goes, damn, man, go away. Like, it takes time. You've got to keep at it. It's not something you can do quick. It's and a lot of people want to skip that step. They want to skip the step of doing the hard work and learning the skills and constantly challenging themselves and saying, I'm not right yet. I need it to be better. And I want to he calls it hustle. Hustle doesn't mean sell. It means do what's needed to be done.
Yeah.
So don't just say, why aren't I getting success? Earn it, do it, go through the pain. And the problem, I guess, is that we've got this society which wants the quick fix, wants that sweet relief of a distraction or a bit of social media, or wants that, it'll make me feel better. I will stop working. I'll just have a quick break and I don't get back to it. Or I want short-term gain, but they don't have enough understanding this, a long-term view with focus on short-term.
Yep.
And having short-term goals with your eye squarely on the long-term.
Long-term goals.
So, yeah, long-term goals. So, I've met lots of people that say they get rich quick, but
I was going to ask that question. I was going to say 20,000 conversations, DK, at way higher levels than I network in, which is amazing. You know, how many people got rich quick overnight that you know? Like any do you know any?
Well, it depends what
6
you call
months,
quick.
12 months?
Everyone, huh?
6 or 12 months,
I've met people. I've worked with people that have sold businesses in less than a year, and sold them for lots of money. But maybe it's an unfair comparison or unfair test to say it took them, 10 years to know how to do it in 1 year.
Yeah.
Or what they learned, they made all these bad calls or learnt stuff and decided I'll launch when I'm ready. I'll raise money when I'm ready. I'll earn the capital, not just ask for it. And a lot of people feel like, we all look at it and say, well, they've had this success and I haven't. Not all of us, but a lot of people do. Served up to you in all sorts of platforms that look at these guys. They've done this, they've done that, they've raised money. And it's always easy to say, hey, these guys raised $10 million. They raised 5 or they raised 20 or whatever they raised. But it's the hard work before that. No one wants to know what the hard work is. A lot of people think, well, I want that success. I should have that. Why did they get that valuation?
Yeah.
So, it's hard work. So there is no, in my opinion, overnight success. I mean, yeah, sure, someone might invent a product, but did they...
Took them 20 years to learn how to do that to begin with. Yeah.
It took them 20 years to learn how to do it. Look, there is overnight success, but I mean, I tell you what, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Gary V's of the world subscribe to overnight success.
No, they don't. And that's the thing. I think his book was either Crushing It or The Thank You Economy. I think
Crushing It.
Yeah.
Crushing It.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
So that sort of leads me in. I mean, you sort of opened the door there with this conversation. It's like, someone might raise, 10, 20, $30 million of valuation. They created something that, but they wouldn't have raised that money by themselves, right? So, can you talk to that? Startups. I mean, that's one of your passions too. You help a lot of startups in certain places and spaces. Can you talk to us about, some of the steps, that you teach these startups and sort of, in general terms, it doesn't have to be specific, but, get it going. And then do you teach people to seek capital as part of the acceleration strategy? Where do you stand with that one, or is it horses for courses?
Well, I think it just comes back to the individual founders and what their current, main problem is, and I always say I don't have the answer, but I'm the best question asker, and so what I like to do is, well, I mean, I like to think that with that 20,000 conversations, I have learnt a thing or two.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's probably more than a lot more than 20,000 conversations, but and that's with accelerators and clients and all sorts of people, etc.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you just got to look at where someone is and work out, okay, where would I go from here? And what's the next step for them? What have they proven yet or so far? What are they still working on? What's top of mind? What are the things what's the friction they're facing? Are they challenging? Are they doing step 3 or are they on step 1? And the founder is almost always the expert, and a good founder will know that they've got to go and do some work, but then there's self-reflection can get you so far, and then you've got to get some the right people in front of you asking you the right questions so that you can work out what's right for you.
Yeah.
And so that's a big belief I have, is that you need to do the work, but you need to have someone who has been there, or and one of my good mates, Mitch, says, you've seen the movie. So you know where this is going to go. So I think the key thing is surrounding yourself with people that can ask you the right questions, be able to not to say good work or you did it, or but challenging and not just saying you're done, or that's great, or I do this, because most people are not experts, but a lot of people like saying you should do this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a big subscriber in saying don't tell.
Yeah. Ask.
Work out what the right question is, and if you're going to think you're a mentor, you better. It's a pretty high standard, so you've got to work out what it is really that they need to know. And so many people are out there saying, I did a little bit of this work for this sort of company, that makes me an expert. Yeah, I'd never say I'm an expert at anything, but I think I'm very good at asking questions.
And so this sort of leads into the concept of the wealth faculty, getting the faculty of advisors around you. And let's talk for a moment around, in the world of business, which is certainly your experience and expertise in that world, coaching and mentoring business owners over the years. I'm assuming very obviously, an amazing accounting team as part of their faculty primary. But who are the other sort of, faculty members that you would see that are super important for businesses at any stage, to have either internal or external or both in their faculty team for success and survival, or even thrival in their world.
Thrival. That's a new word.
We're out of survival and into thrival, David.
We've survived 2020. We're into thrival.
That's it.
So I guess, I was talking about this the other day with someone about mentoring, and he was saying to me, I need a mentor. And I'm saying, well, what's the problem? What do you not know? Well, I want to know if I'm doing a good job. At what? Well, I want to know if I'm looking after my team the right way. Have you asked them? Oh, no, I want to ask someone else who's an expert. Okay, you can, but why that person? Well, they've got people working for them, but that's just one person, and one person is unlikely to give you all of the answers or ask you all of the right questions. So, and this person was thinking that it was in the context of football, as in soccer, and saying, I want to talk to a really experienced coach because I want to be able to manage people better, and I want to be able to teach strategy in football. And it's the same in anything, business, whatever. You get pieces of expertise, and you say, I like that, I don't like that. But if it's not authentic and it's not you, and it's not, people will quickly find you out. You can put the ingredients together and work out, I can get a little bit of that. I like how that person communicates. I like how that person explains the way the product works. Or I like how this person, understands Facebook ads. I like, no one knows everything, but people think they need a mentor, right? What you need to do is you need to form two-way relationships with people where you're helping them and you're appreciating everything they do, and vice versa, and saying, how can we help each other? Because a lot of people go, so I want a mentor. And I've had so many people say, can you mentor me? I'm going, well, I can't say yes to everybody, but I'm more than happy to have a chat with you and say, I'll ask you some questions, work out where you're at, and work out what you actually need and what the actual problem is. So a lot of people will say, I can't get customers to do this. Well, it might be, well, you don't have a product yet, or you don't have this yet, or you don't have. So it's the wrong question, or I call it the unstated problem. So a lot of people need help on finding out what the actual problem is before they can solve it. They're trying to say, I've got this product and it's not selling. Well, the problem is you're not in front of the right customer. It's not that nothing wrong with the product. You're trying to sell it to the wrong customer. So or it's not got this feature set, or you're talking to people that don't buy that product. They buy this product, and you need to go and sell to that supplier.
Good data and insight into their businesses. Obviously, it's a conversation. Often, I think, certainly for myself and many other entrepreneurs that I sort of chat with, they get caught up in the everyday activity and don't get a chance to stop and smell the roses a bit and analyze and question. Right.
Well, that's the last piece of the puzzle is. How do entrepreneurs look after themselves and refresh and keep the blade sharp? They're going through this friction, and they need to keep the blade sharp themselves. And and look after themselves and keep learning and look after themselves in lots of different ways. Boy, oh boy, it's hard being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we have them. I'm glad we have them. We need them.
We need them.
We need them.
And we need good advisors who take care of some of the things that other people aren't so good at as well. So I think it's a team effort. And speaking of,
it is a team effort.
Yeah. Speaking of team, advisors, mentors. So who people or who have been your advisors or mentors or people to inspire you over your career and time, DK?
Good question. I don't know. I would think that of all the people, and I was thinking about this the other day about who have I really learnt much from, and I joined this a group that was saying, who's teaching you? And I thought, damn, I don't know the answer to that. Who's teaching me? I'm reading a lot. I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm trying to meet as many smart people as I can. I don't know who's teaching me. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a teacher. But I thought, well, I'll have to work it out for myself. So I punished myself with learning and reading and asking questions, meeting smart people, and reflecting on stuff, etc. But the answer to who teaches me, I'd say it's a very, very, very select number of people. I would actually like to say the person who I think has taught me a lot is my wife. She's taught me a lot of things from.
I was going to give you a prod there, DK. I was going to give you a prod on that one. Yeah.
Well, I think she just asked me really good questions, and whether or not she thinks I listen to her, I do. And I think she's taught me a lot. I think there's this one of the hardest things I did in 2020 was, and probably one of the some would say the stupidest. When I was as busy as I was, I thought I wanted to start becoming a football coach, and because my daughter was playing very hard. All the spare time I had. But I was thinking to myself, I don't have a lot of hobbies. Like my hobbies are, I thought I'll start writing. Well, what am I going to write? I'll write blogs about business. Okay. Well, I wouldn't mind doing a podcast or a mastermind group. Well, I'll do it about business. So I then started writing blogs, doing a podcast, doing a mastermind group, and I thought I still don't have a hobby that's about not work.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and I think that's the thing, you need to be able to switch off and think about something else. And I don't think my youngest daughter who's a great football player and she inspired me to get into soccer. And I used to love rugby. I still love rugby league, but I've got 3 daughters. None of them are going to play for the Seagulls. So I decided I'd get interested in that, and she's a really good player. And then I thought, I wanted to learn more about it, and I signed up to this thing called Future Coaches, and I thought, damn, I'm the dumbest person in the room here, because I literally had never played soccer. I didn't know I knew the rules because I'd become a black and white referee. But then all these people in the room, they spoke this other language, and 90% of them spoke either Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, and all these different languages, and because they just love football. And I was in this room going, I want to be a coach too. And I'm the dumbest person here. Everyone else was already a coach. But I decided I'd do that course, and then I thought, well, I'm going to punish myself even a bit more and do the C license. And I met this guy who really inspired me to do this. And he said, the best coaches are actually the best communicators. And I thought, well, I'm not bad at that, but I know shit all about soccer.
Yeah.
And so I punished myself last year in doing this course. Like I was doing a shit ton of extra homework, and everything I try to do, I do as well as I possibly can. And I just saw what I learned from doing this soccer is it's really life. And they talk about soccer is life, and and it taught me a lot more about people, and I thought I knew, but this guy here, his name's Eugene Lorenz, and I think he taught me something.
Yeah.
Because I started talking to him about football, I thought he's going to talk to me about the rules and the strategy, and he started talking to me about the brain.
That's great. And isn't that something interesting where often in life we think we need to, our professions teach us everything, but often outside of our professions can teach us a whole lot about being better at
Absolutely.
our work and our other professions too. Yeah. What a great insight.
100%.
Mate. What a great insight.
Yeah, like I think my team have even said to me, we're glad you did this hobby, but we've actually seen a difference in you in terms of the way you relate to people. I think, and it's quite positive.
Yeah. And would you attribute that to, maybe being a father and trying to enter the world of your children as well? I mean, you're a family man. You're passionate about your family. You love them. I'm sure as much as any parent does. But for you being busy at work and trying to enter their world as well.
Yeah, I think that was one of the difficulties I had was working out, why am I doing this? Why am I punishing myself? Because everyone else in the room loves soccer. And I'm going, oh, I don't love this. Like, they're saying, it's in my blood. I'm going, oh, it's soccer. Yeah. And I know you get excited by it, but what I worked out was I love people, and I just love helping people. And my daughter was the assistant coach for her team this year, won the competition. I should retire now and finish 1 for 1. But I had to work out, was I doing this for her or for me? And that is an interesting question, working out why you do things. So, what really motivates you. And I won't go through all that because no one needs to know that much about me. But I will because I do believe in knowing the right questions or asking the right questions. So I will ask everyone listening to this, is in terms of deciding what you do with the rest of your life, who do you really care about the most? And if you're going to do something in business, if you can align that and focus on that and optimize for, even if it's a type of people, obviously a family, but if you can work out who you really care for and try and line up, because your skills are just things you can do. They're not necessarily industry specific.
Yeah.
What you care about is not connected to an industry, it's your values. And so if you can line up your skills, your values to people you care about, you're going to do it a lot better.
And would you say that's almost a cautionary tale, David, about becoming an entrepreneur? Sometimes, in your observation, you've seen potentially entrepreneurs, chase something at the cost of something else. Is that maybe 100%. A caution? Yeah.
100%. A lot of entrepreneurs start things accidentally. They say, "Hey, this happened to me. This is terrible." I can think of some. Like a first person that came to mind was a female entrepreneur that said, "This happened to my husband. I need to fix it." No, I couldn't find a solution. I thought I might as well do it.
Yeah.
And other companies or other founders that have said, "This is a terrible situation. I was an employee. This can't be that bad. It can't be. The system is so terrible. It shouldn't be like this." And I said, maybe I can do something about it. And if you align stuff to people you care about, it's not work even. It is hard work, but it's at least it's going to keep you out of bed and get you out of bed and keep you going in tough times. If you really care about the people or the customers or a class of people that you really, really want to see win or want to help, it's it makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference, yeah. And I've asked this question of a few people. In your observation, you work with many wealthy individuals, CEOs, people in business, and by regular standards, technically those people don't have to go to work, right? They don't have to get up each day.
Yeah. They
don't have to do it for money. What have you observed? Why do those people get out of bed each day and still be passionate? Because I thought it was all about replacing your income and never having to work again. This idea about wealth, you know what I mean? What have you discovered or observed in sort of helping those people?
Well, everyone's different. I mean, I think I always say that people are driven by different things. People might have buttons that might drive them, but they're not. People are cocktails. They're not just driven by one thing. There's all sorts of, chemicals, and their unconscious brain and their their conscious brain and their triggers and all that sort of thing. So what drives everyone is different. But I guess, and I act for a lot of family offices and people that have got more money than they could spend in 10 lifetimes or 100 lifetimes. But I think everyone's different. But I think if I had to think about the thing that drives people is being in a position to grow a business and then leave a legacy, or have building something that's been really hard to do and then wanting to see it succeed after them, or wanting to pass on the asset to the next generation, or be able to get the company sold so that the family can do more of what they really care about. It could be a combination of investing in startups. It could be a combination of some altruistic things like backing companies that either are doing things that they care about, like environment, or helping children, or helping whatever it is that their cause is that matters to them. Doing more of that, or educating people, or giving back. And everyone's different, but I mean, there's only so much money people do need, and once they've got over that utility falls away very quickly. So I guess what drives most of them is to think, well, they've done this, it's been hard, it's been very rewarding, didn't definitely happen overnight, and it's been something that they're proud of, and it's given them that strength and perseverance, that it's taught them something, and they want to see it continue and succeed. So a lot of people feel like it's a bit of who they are and competition, but if that's all they have, they get very sad very soon.
Yep.
So I think people need the right amounts of all sorts of things, and so the ones that keep going are the ones that have the right doses of all the different things in their life. A bit of enough time with family, enough time with friends, enough time with health, enough time with learning. And everyone is driven by different things. A lot of people want to learn, and a lot of people want to beat people, or they want to be the number one, or they want to
competitive as well as caring. Yeah.
Open the most number of offices, build revenue. Everyone's different. Everyone's like, there's no such thing as the wealthy person, and they're all different. Everyone talks about, they don't want to lose money once they've made it. And I have seen a lot of people that have taken huge risk, and then they say, now I don't want to take any risk. Let's put the car back in the garage,
Yeah.
But getting those conversations and helping people, clarify their thoughts on what things mean to them, and how they want to, be and get comfortable for the next, sometimes 50 years of their life with a lot of money that they'll never spend, and managing that stealth mode of saying, well, I don't want to be in the public eye anymore. I don't want to be, I don't want to have to look over my shoulder. I want to do something good with it, or everyone's got different needs and wants, and being able to help people ask the right questions to get comfortable with the path they're on, or to see what they've missed, or to help them with getting to the next stage. That's the fun. I love doing that.
Yeah. And a bit of a key word in there, the meaning for that is different to everyone, but meaning is the important word. It means this, it means that, but there is meaning. It's not drudgery. It's something that's exciting. Competition, the purpose. Yeah. Absolutely driven by that. There's been
people want to care about it. They need to think it matters, and they're doing something that matters, or this purpose, or keeps. Everyone's purpose is different. And, there's no right answer. It's just helping discover what that person wants.
Yeah, driven by purpose. I was chatting with a good friend of mine, John Wood, the other day, founder of Room to Read, and he was like, just driven by purpose. Once we have the profit that keeps us, in a place where we're happy, then over and above that, the purpose comes out and drives us, significantly, which is awesome.
Very true.
been a great conversation today, David. I've got one last question that I always ask all of my guests, and it is: what is the true meaning of wealth to you, David Kenney?
Well, I guess it starts with your health, because without health, and 2020 wasn't for me that easy. So 2021, here we come. I think for me, and again, it's different for everybody, but I think there's having an easy definition of saying I've got enough to know that I don't need to worry. And enough is also a subjective word where people need to think about, well, what sort of lifestyle do I want to live? What do I want to do with my kids, or how do I want to live my life? If money was no object, what would I choose to do? If I wanted to go and look after my kids and look after their school and give them a good start and give them everything they need to launch and be successful as much as they want, or whatever their definition of success is, great. And then second stage of life is looking at, okay, well, what do we want to do now? How do we want to manage our days and our life and our processes around living with our purpose. So being in a position where having a goal helps. A lot of people I know say, well, I'm just going to work until I'm 65. But the main question is, what is enough? And have you ever thought about that? Have you got a plan? Have you started to work backwards to say, well, if I'm going to live this and I want to define this and I want to have this many holidays, I want to be able to help my kids, I want to be able to do all of this, or work backwards and say, I can't do all of that, but what's the minimum I need to do? What's the minimum amount I need to be able to be comfortable? And what would extra look like? So, and these are questions that I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with, because they either think, I am not going to get there, or I don't understand, or it's really complicated. There's no easy way to work this out, and they've got to go through it and they've got to work out what's right for them. So asking the right questions from the right people, and working out what's right for someone else so that they can make the next steps and they feel like it's something they can achieve and they can go in the right direction. That's very valuable to help people with, because they go, it's the first time I understood all of this. So it's the first time I've had clarity around what I should do next. And unfortunately, money and property and managing all of that is hard, because it's complicated, because people have got a full-time job. They've got family, friends, they've got all these things that they've got to manage, and their health and their friends and their learning and their career, and there's a lot to do. So it's hard, and not everyone has the time or the space or the capacity really to become an expert, but they need to know it enough. They need to have it simplified so that they can say, yeah, that's not too much. It's like saying, well, you can't go and get someone to run a marathon, but you can get them to put their shoes on.
Yeah.
So those little steps in the right direction. Yeah, just start learning and start getting better and start asking questions. And that's I guess the point, which is you get people to do some things, teach them that they can get there, show them the evidence of what they've learned. And gradually, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And then you go, I get it now. Like, why was I afraid of this? It was crazy. I should never have been afraid. I seem to have wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of my energy on worrying about things that weren't important. So I think if I had to sum all that up in that very long explanation, I'd say work out what is right for you, work out what your resource level needs to be, and work out things like, is there an answer? Is there a sum? Is there a way of looking at how you do this in a secure way? Because you don't know, you can't get rich quick. You've got to just keep sticking at it. You've got to learn more about it. You've got to take a little bit of responsibility, because you can't outsource, making money. You've got to actually own some of the knowledge around how you do it.
mate. I think that's. I think
you got to work with people who teach you. You got to work with people who teach you. That's probably the right thing.
Never
Don't
true
sell
word
me.
said. Yeah.
If you help people learn versus tell them, you're a friend for life.
Yeah.
If you help people learn, they say, I now understand it for the first time.
Yeah.
I go, oh, that's good. Well, obviously my communication's good enough. You're not dumb. My communication was good enough.
Yeah. Teach them to fish, don't give them the fish, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Teach them to learn.
Yeah.
Break down the barriers of learning about resources. That's the key to knowing you've got enough, because people will work it out for themselves. If they work it out for themselves, they won't feel like I'm doing this for you. You're actually doing this for yourself.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to finish our conversation today. Learn what it means to have the right resources for you. Great way to have the conversation finish up. David Kenney, thanks for joining me on the Wealth Faculty today. Really enjoyed the chat.
Thanks, Dave. Good to see you, mate. Take care.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Wealth Faculty. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe. Where all good podcasts are found, you can find us there. And if you want to watch it, you can subscribe on YouTube, Positive Mentor TV. And until the next episode, take care. Bye for now.